what is it about something as simple as sitting still and watching a breath that evokes pain, or panic, fear, and even hostility? No matter how many reports there are providing on the mental, emotional, and physical value of being quiet, there seems to be an even greater number who refuse to give it a try. Meditation can certainly be challenging, and even more so if we are uncertain as to why we are doing it. It can seem very odd to sit there just listening to the incessant chatter in our head, and we easily get bored if we do nothing for too long, even if it's only 10 minutes. After hearing a plethora of reasons why people find it hard to meditate, we can whittle it down to just a few. I'm too busy, I don't have the time, which can certainly be true if you have like young children and a full-time job and all that these entail. However, I'm only talking about maybe 10 minutes a day. Most of us spend more time than that reading the news or idly surfing the web. It only appears like we don't have the time because we usually fill every moment with activity and never press the pause button. Reason 2, I find it really uncomfortable to sit still for too long. If you are trying to sit cross-legged on the floor, then yes, it will get uncomfortable. But you can sit upright in a firm and comfortable chair instead, or you can do walking meditation, yoga, or Tai Chi. Moving meditation can be just as beneficial as sitting. 3, my mind won't stop thinking. I can't relax, I can't meditate, I just can't. My mind will not get quiet, it flies all over the place. My thoughts are driving me mad. I'm trying to get away from myself, not look inside. And if any of this sounds familiar, surprisingly enough, trying to stop your mind from thinking is like trying to stop the wind. It's impossible. In the Eastern teaching, the mind is described as being like a drunken monkey bitten by a scorpion because just as a monkey leaps from branch to branch, the mind leaps from one thing to another, constantly distracted and busy. So when you come to sit still and try to quiet your mind, you find all this manic activity going on and it seems insanely noisy. It is actually nothing new, just that now you are becoming aware of it, whereas before you were immersed in it, unaware that such chatter was so constant. This experience of the mind being so busy is very normal. It's blurred out. Someone once estimated that in any 130-minute session of meditation, we might have upward of 300 thoughts. Years of busy mind, years of creating and maintaining dramas, years of stresses and confusion and self-centeredness, and the mind has no idea how to be still. Rather, it craves entertainment. It's not as if you can suddenly turn it off when you meditate, it just means you are like everyone else. The 4th reason is that there are too many distractions and it's too noisy. And gone are the days when we could disappear into a cave and be left undisturbed until we emerge from some later time fully enlightened. Instead, we all have to deal with the sounds and impositions of the world around us. And this is big, we needn't let it impose. Cars going by outside, and that's fine. Let them go by, but just don't go with them. The quiet you are looking for is inside, not outside. The experience of stillness is accumulative. The more you sit, then slowly, the mind becomes quieter, more joyful, despite whatever distraction there might be. 5th reason, I don't see the benefit. Unfortunately, this is where you have to take my word for it. Some people get how beneficial meditation is after just one session, but most of us take longer. And you might notice a difference after a week or maybe 2 of daily practice, which means you have to trust the process enough to hang in there and keep going even before you get the benefits. Remember, music needs to be played for hours to get the notes right. While in Japan it can take 12 years to learn how to arrange flowers. Being still happens in a moment, but it may take some time before that moment comes. And that's why there's the need for patience. 6th reason, I'm no good at this, and I never get it right. And actually, it's impossible to fail at meditation. Even if you sit for 20 minutes thinking non-stop meaningless thoughts, that's fine. There's no right or wrong, and there's no special technique. There are as many forms of meditation as there are people who practice it. So all you need to do is find the way that works for you, even if you prefer to do it standing on your head, and keep at it. The important point is that you make friends with meditation. It'll be of no help at all if you feel you have to meditate, for instance, and then feel guilty if you miss the allotted time or only do 10 minutes when you had promised to do 30. It is much better to practice for just a short time and to enjoy what you are doing than to sit there teeth gritted because you've been told that only 30 or 40, even 40 minutes will have any effect. Meditation is a companion to have throughout life, like an old friend you turn to when in need of support, inspiration, and clarity, and it's to be enjoyed. And the seventh, final reason, it's all just weird New Age hype. It's certainly easy to get lost in the array of New Age promises of eternal happiness, but meditation itself, which is more than 2,500 years ago, the Buddha was a dedicated meditator who tried and tested numerous different ways of enabling the mind to be quiet. And that's just one example. Each religion has its own variation on the theme and all stretch back over the centuries, so there's nothing new here and nothing weird. In other words, meditation is not about forcing the mind to be absolutely still. Rather, it's a letting go of resistance of whatever may arise. Doubt, worry, uncertainty, and feeling inadequate. The endless dramas, fear, and desire. Every time you find your mind is drifting, daydreaming, remembering the past, or planning ahead, just come back to now, come back to this moment. All you need to do is pay attention and be with what is and nothing else. And so we call the heart of the formal meditation practice sitting meditation, or just simply sitting. As with breathing, sitting is not foreign to anyone. We all sit, nothing special about that. But mindful sitting is different from ordinary sitting in the same way that mindful breathing is different from ordinary breathing. The difference, of course, is your awareness. To practice sitting, we make a special time and place for non-doing. We consciously adopt an alert and relaxed body posture so that we can feel relatively comfortable without moving. And then we reside with calm acceptance in the present without trying to fill it with anything. You have already tried this in the various exercises in which you have watched your breathing. It helps a lot to adopt an erect and dignified posture with your head, neck, and back aligned vertically. This allows the breath to flow most easily. And it is also the physical counterpart of the inner attitudes of self-reliance, self-acceptance, and alert attention that we are cultivating. We usually practice the sitting meditation either on a chair or on the floor. If you choose a chair, the ideal is to use one that has a straight back and that allows your feet to be flat on the floor. And I often recommend that, if possible, you sit away from the back of the chair so that your spine is self-supporting. But if you have to, lean against the back of the chair is also fine. If you choose to sit on the floor, do so on a firm, thick cushion, which raises your hips off the floor like 3 to 6 inches. A pillow folded over once or twice does nicely. Or you could purchase a dedicated meditation cushion. There are a number of cross-legged sitting postures and kneeling postures that some people use when they sit on the floor. The one, if I'm meditating on the floor, I will use the most is the so-called Burmese posture, which involves drawing one heel in close to the body and draping the other leg in front of it. And depending on how flexible your hips and knees and ankles are, your knees may or may not be touching the floor. It is somewhat more comfortable when they are. Others use a kneeling posture, placing the cushion between the feet. Sitting on the floor can give you a reassuring feeling of being grounded and self-supporting in the meditation posture, but it is not necessary to meditate sitting on the floor or in a cross-legged position. Ultimately, it is not what you are sitting on that matters in meditation, but the sincerity of your effort. Whether you choose the floor or a chair, posture is very important in meditation practice. It can be an outward support in cultivating an inner attitude of dignity, patience, and self-acceptance. The main points to keep in mind about your posture are to try to keep the back, neck, and head aligned in the vertical, or to relax the shoulders, and to do something comfortable with your hands. And usually we place them on the knees or we rest them in the lap, with the fingers of the left hand above the fingers of the right and the tips of the thumbs just touching each other. When we have assumed the posture we have selected, we bring our attention to our breathing. feel it come in, and we feel it go out. We dwell in the present, moment by moment, breath by breath. It sounds simple, and it is. Full awareness on the in-breath, full awareness on the out-breath. And letting the breath just happen, observing it, and feeling all the sensations, gross and subtle, associated with it. It is simple, but it is not easy. You can probably sit in front of a television or in a car on a trip for hours without giving it a second thought. But when you try sitting in your house with nothing to watch but your breath, your body, and your mind, with nothing to entertain you and no place to go, the first thing you will probably notice is that at least part of you doesn't want to stay at this for very long. After perhaps a minute or two or three or four, either the body or the mind will have had enough and will demand something else, either to shift to some other posture or to do something else entirely, and this is inevitable. It is at this point that the work of self-observation gets particularly interesting and fruitful. Normally, every time the mind moves, the body follows. If the mind is restless, the body is restless. If the mind wants a drink, the body goes to the kitchen sink or the refrigerator. And if the mind says this is boring, then before you know it, the body is up and looking around for the next thing to do to keep the mind happy. It also works the other way around. If the body feels the slightest discomfort, it will shift to be more comfortable, or it will call on the mind to find something else for it to do, and again, you will be standing up literally before you know it. If you are genuinely committed to being more peaceful and relaxed, you might wonder why it is that your mind is so quick to be bored with being with itself, and why your body is so restless and uncomfortable. You might wonder what is behind your impulses to fill each moment with something. What is behind your need to be entertained whenever you have an empty moment, to jump up and get going, to get back to doing and being busy? What drives the body and mind to reject being still? In practicing meditation, we don't try to answer such questions. Rather, we just observe the impulse to get up, or the thoughts that come into the mind, and instead of jumping up and doing whatever the mind decides is next on the agenda, we gently but firmly bring our attention back to the belly, into the breathing, and just continue to watch the breath, moment by moment. We may ponder why the mind is like this for a moment or two, but basically we are practicing accepting each moment as it is without reacting to how it is. By doing so, you are training your mind to be less reactive and more stable. You are making each moment count. You are taking each moment as it comes, not valuing any one above any other. And in this way, you are cultivating your natural ability to concentrate your mind. By repeatedly bringing your attention back to the breath each time it wanders off, concentration builds and deepens, much as, like your muscles, develop by repetitively lifting weights. Working regularly with and not struggling against the resistance of your mind builds inner strength. At the same time, you are also developing patience and practicing being non-judgmental. You are not giving yourself a hard time because your mind left the breath. You simply and matter-of-factly return it to the breath, gently but firmly. And mindfulness does not involve pushing thoughts away or walling yourself off from them to quiet your mind. We are not trying to stop our thoughts as they cascade through the mind. We're simply making room for them, observing them as thoughts and letting them be, using the breath as our anchor or home base for observing, for reminding us to stay focused and calm. So allow this to be the tie in which we set aside the usual mode in which we operate, that of more or less constant doing, and switch to a mode of non-doing, a mode of simply being, of allowing ourselves to be, of becoming aware of our being. This of course will tend to slow time down and is best accomplished by knowing that you will put aside the time for yourself. Gently close your eyes, and as we allow the body to become still, just bring your attention to the fact that you are breathing and becoming aware of the movements of the breath as it comes into your body and as it leaves your body. Not manipulating the breathing in any way or trying to change it. But simply being aware of it and of the feelings associated with breathing. And if you feel comfortable with it, observing your breathing deep down in your belly, feeling the abdominal wall as it expands gently on the in-breath, as it falls back towards your spine on the out-breath. And simply being totally here in each moment with each breath, not trying to do anything, not trying to get any place, simply being with your breathing. Just giving full care and your full attention to each in-breath and to each out-breath as they follow one after the other in a never-ending cycle and flow. Now, of course, you will find that from time to time your mind will wander off into thoughts, fantasies, anticipations of the future, worrying thoughts of the past, memories, whatever. But when you notice that your attention is no longer here, no longer really on your breathing, without giving yourself a hard time, just intentionally escorting your focus and your attention back to the breathing and picking up wherever it happens to be, on an in-breath or on an out-breath, and just observing, moving up close to your breathing and keeping the attention here as if you were riding the waves of your breathing, fully conscious of the duration of the in-breath and the duration of the out-breath from moment to moment. And simply remembering that every time you find that your mind has wandered off the breath, just be aware of it as soon as you can be, and gently bringing it back to your belly, and back to the present, back to the moment-to-moment observing the flow of your breathing. In the practice of your meditation, using the awareness of your breathing, and using your breath as an anchor to refocus your attention, to bring you back into the present moment whenever you notice that the mind is moving out of the present or becoming unbalanced or absorbed or preoccupied or reactive. The breath can function as an anchor to keep you in the present and to help you tune to the state of relaxed awareness and stillness, which is itself a profound state of balance. Now, as you observe your breathing, you may be finding that from time to time sensations from your body come into the field of your awareness, from discomfort or agitation, which may be quite intense from time to time. And as you maintain the awareness of your breathing, see if it is possible now to just expand the field of your awareness around your breathing so that it includes a sense of your body as a whole as you sit here. And feeling your breath, if you will, from head to toe, as you become aware of all the sensations in your body. The sensation in particular of touch, of contact with the chair or with the floor, contact made by the feet, by the hips and the legs as you sit in a straight posture with the back erect and the head balanced and dignified. So that now we are allowing the observation to include not only the flow of breathing, but as a sense of your body as a whole with whatever feelings and sensations come up in any moment. And being here with whatever does come up without judging it, without reacting to it. Just being fully here, fully aware, totally present, with whatever your feelings are, and with your breath and a sense of your body as a complete, dignified whole. And again, whenever you notice that your mind may have wandered off, just bringing it back to your breathing and to a sense of your body as you sit here. Not going anywhere, not doing anything, just simply being and simply sitting. From moment to moment, being fully present, fully with yourself, just as you are in this moment. Of course, and it happens with all of us. There may be times when the sensations in one part of your body really become overwhelming and dominate the field of your awareness to the point where it becomes very difficult to stay focused and concentrated. And if this happens, you have two alternatives. One is to mindfully shift to a more comfortable position to relieve some of the intensity, and if you choose to move, to just be aware of the intention to do it before you actually move. But another way to work with this intensity is to try simply staying here with it without moving and restricting the attention in these periods of intensity and just zeroing right in on that region of the body that is experiencing it. Putting the mind right there in the knee or in the small of your back or wherever it may be, and just going right into the sensation in each moment and breathing into it and breathing out with it. And totally experiencing what your body is saying to you right now, right here, and responding to it by opening and softening, rather than tensing and bracing and resisting, so that even within the intensity you may find stillness and acceptance. And even if this is difficult, simply being aware of your reactions, observing them as well as the sensations, and when the intensity subsides, just reestablishing your awareness at the level of your body as a whole, and of the breath as it moves in and out of your body. Coming back to a sense of fullness with each in-breath, and the fullness of each out-breath. And as you sit here, if you feel comfortable with it, once again allowing the field of your awareness to expand, and this time we will let the focus move toward hearing, toward sounds that we may be aware of in the environment, or perhaps from within the body, and just shifting the focus of your attention from the breath and from the sense of your body as a whole. And now just moving it towards the ears and letting your consciousness be particularly the consciousness of hearing. Not going out searching for things to hear, but simply receptive to whatever it is that enters your consciousness as sound. Full awareness of hearing from one moment to the next as you sit here and as you breathe. And if you do hear something, not judging it or deciding whether you like it or dislike it, or whether it annoys or is beautiful, but simply residing in the moment to moment, being with hearing. Aware of sitting in stillness, aware of sound, and aware of the space between sounds, aware of silence, moment by moment by moment. And again, if at any point you notice that your mind is distracted, just bringing it back either to your breathing to anchor you, or directly to your ears, to right now, and to whatever is here as you sit. And again, as we sit here, once again allowing the field of your awareness to expand. We began with the breathing, and then we expanded the awareness to include the body as a whole and any particularly intense regions of sensation. And then we expanded to include sound as well, developing the capacity to both concentrate deeply on one particular object of attention and also to become flexible so that one can be mindful of various aspects of perception and of one's life experience. This time we will expand the awareness to include thinking, to include thoughts as they move through your mind, so that rather than being distractions or breaks in your concentration, you will now focus and open to the observation of the thinking process itself. So letting your breathing and sense of the body and sounds and so forth, they will be in the background, and allowing the thinking process itself to become center stage for the moment. And rather than following individual thoughts or getting involved in the content and going from one thought to the next, simply be by seeing each thought as it comes up in the mind as a thought, as an observable event, just as a sound would be an observable event. And letting the thoughts just come and go as you sit and dwell in stillness, witnessing them, observing them. Our thoughts, of course, could be about anything: the future, the past, your body, thoughts, thoughts about feelings, and whatever they are, thoughts about food, thoughts about sleep, thoughts about time, whatever they are, just observing them as events in the field of your consciousness, as they come into your awareness, as they linger and as they dissolve, as they will. And just sitting with this awareness of thoughts coming and going as you dwell in the present, observing. If you find yourself at any point drawn into the stream of thinking, into the current of thoughts, and when you notice that you are no longer observing them or being with them, but you're off someplace else, just coming back to the observation of the missed events, and using your breathing in a sense of your body to anchor you and stabilize you in the present. And of course, the thoughts can take any form. They can have any content, and they can be either neutral or very, very highly charged. And in particular, if thoughts come up that have fear in them, then just be aware of being here, just being aware of fear, and letting these thoughts come and go. The same for worries, preoccupations of one kind or another, pressures in the mind, the thought of deadlines or obligations, and again, regardless of the charge that the thought has for you, just observing it as a discrete thought and let it just be here without pursuing it, without rejecting it, and noticing that, of course, from moment to moment, new thoughts will come and go. Now for the remaining time, just letting go of all objects of attention. Your breathing, your body, hearing, observing, thinking. And instead of focusing on any one, just allowing yourself to just sit here and be fully aware in each moment and aware of whatever there is within this sphere of your being. If thoughts come, observing thoughts. If sounds, then sounds. If pain, then pain, and if it is the breath that is most predominant, then just being with your breathing from moment to moment. Just sitting in stillness, looking for nothing, and being sensitive and present with it all, just as it is, just as it unfolds. If you will, experiencing the ground of being, experiencing the ground of awareness out of which all perceptions arise, and just being right here with it, complete as you are, human and whole. And as the session finishes, recognizing that you have spent this time intentionally nourishing yourself by dwelling in this state of non-doing, in the state of being, intentionally making time for yourself to be who you are. And you might want to just congratulate yourself for taking the time and the energy to do this, and to allow yourself the occasion to do it on a regular basis. and to nourish yourself in a deep way, and to allow the benefits of this practice to expand into the active expression of your life in every domain as it continues to unfold.